You gonna get us started in the right way, or are you just gonna sit over there and hold your mic?
Hi, friends.
Hey.
Hi.
Welcome to a new episode of Double Take, the podcast. Do you know why it's called Double Take, Joseph?
That was a Gold City record back in the 80s.
That's right.
And the reason I know that is because I am, the biggest Gold City fan probably of anybody in the business, I would think.
Wow. No,
Really?
Me and Josh are pretty big fans.
Yes, that was my group. You know, I love the cathedrals. But
it was a cool factor with Gold City.
The cathedrals were classy, and I like classy, but I also like edgy and cool. So my favorite group, and I love Ivan and Brian. Ivan's one of my heroes, but my favorite group was the 90s group. You know,
I didn't feel that
besides this one
extremely well. That's sweet of you. I
don't mean it.
I've always felt like and you know what though, you were young. Y'all are about the same age. You just turned 40 the other day.
I turned 40 September 16th. Yep. Yeah. How old are you, Chris?
39.
So right there, about the same age.
And Josh is 38. So
yeah, boy, I'm good 10 years older.
Are you serious?
I'm 48. So yeah, but that was to me the edgier musical side of things was the Gary, Ivan, Brian years.
Seriously, you think so?
Yeah, because you got to think back.
For its
go
day.
back and listen to some of that music.
Day.
I guess for me, when I was growing up, so when I finally started paying attention to Southern gospel and quartets was really the 90s.
Yeah.
And that was when, the mid-90s was when Jonathan and Jay and Mark and Tim, obviously. So when they released like Signed, Sealed, Delivered, that was when I started going, like I always loved Gold City, but when Signed, Sealed, Delivered came out, I was like, okay, this is what I like, because it was it's gonna be a good.
Oh
it was just a good feel, and then you know
He
Said was on there.
He Said
was that When He Calls Me I'll Fly Away? On that.
That was on there.
It was on that album too. So I kind of got lost in those years. I had those albums, but it wasn't like the earlier stuff where I just wore them out. But it's that age thing.
And that's what brought me back to Gold City. So after Brian and Ivan left, I quit listening for a while, and then
he's always been really emotional.
Are you bipolar, bro?
No.
No,
his wife told me he's bipolar.
I was just so hurt that that was my. I looked up to them, and they were my heroes. Brian and Ivan, that whole lineup. I mean, I saw them live several times. And
the very first cassette tape you ever bought was Pillars of Faith.
Yeah,
with your own money.
With my own money.
How many times have I heard that?
So
story?
the David Hill, Steve Lacy, that was a tough. Nothing against them personally.
I just had quit listening, and I had to go back and revisit that era, like Standing in the Gap when Giving Up came out. I loved that,
and I liked Renewed. Even
I loved Renewed.
That was a great record.
After Pillars of Faith, Renewed's my favorite, probably my favorite album.
Was Renewed? Didn't that have Somebody Touch the Lord on it?
No. That was the Lord Do It Again.
Lord Do It Again.
Wasn't that it? The album wasn't
it
on
was
there?
supposed to have Lord Do It Again.
No, I'm talking. There was an album they did with David.
It was like a table project.
And it had
That was the next one, and it had Lord Do It Again.
That was Lord Do It Again. That was the name of the album. Was Lord Do It Again.
Yeah.
And
I think it did have somebody. Lord Do It Again had
great.
Somebody Touch the Lord on it.
Yeah.
Because that was a. Is that a Perfect Heart or Singing in
Perfect Heart? It was Perfect Heart's first single that went number one. I mean, it was their first single, and it went number one.
Well, that's sad that they didn't. They're not around anymore. I mean, I know that the guys still are.
Yeah,
it's kind of a sad. It's hard when you go back and look at Heaven Bound, and
I loved Heaven Bound.
Yeah, Heaven Bound was great, and then we just said it.
Perfect Heart,
Singing
Americans.
Those quartets, Singing Americans.
Yeah,
it's really sad. That's what I love about Gold City, though, is like when I was a kid, I thought when I got in the business, because I always dreamed that I would be here. I just assumed Gold City by the time I was 40 probably wouldn't be around.
Yeah.
And it's so cool now that we're out on this tour and I get to hear these iconic songs that I grew up listening to, and in fact your business manager Joel just gave me the commemorative book.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
And I was just I was scrolling through looking at my favorite, like the favorite Singing News cover ever. It's so cheesy. Was Brian in the in the
birthday,
it was like the cheesiest thing. But when I was a kid, like that was cool to me.
Really neat
because it was childish.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool to go back and visit.
So did you grow up listening to gospel music? Did you grow up in church, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I grew up. I grew up very conservative, independent Baptist. So all we could really listen to was Southern gospel. So when I was about 4 or 5 years old, my mom had a Walkman, and I don't know if y'all remember the Walkman headsets had that your hair would get caught in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but it was kind of those.
I wasn't well off like you were, so I didn't.
Well, I had a single mom, and we were broke as a joke, so somebody must have gave us that. I don't know, man. But anyway, she gave me this Walkman, or let me use her Walkman, and she had like the live album Gold City, where he tells what's the live album back in the '80s? Gold City live album.
Well, the first one was the Gold City live. It was that had Robe of White.
Yes, that one.
Was that one?
Yeah. So that one, the Singing Americans album, I forget which one it was. Cathedral's one of their albums.
And
Traveling
were they
Live,
on
maybe.
Cassette?
Yes, but
Yeah.
here's what's funny: they were on a cassette, but they were burnt, or they were copied
recorded,
from somebody else's
yeah.
cassette.
That's what everybody did.
So yeah, I would listen, and I'm 5 years old, going, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
I didn't even know I could sing yet. It's all I ever wanted to do.
Did you have singing connections? Like, did your family sing?
Yeah. So my mom and her sister and brother and my grandmother sang together. And then as we got older, my mom and dad split up when I was 4 or 3. We started singing together, me and my brothers, when I was 5, 6,
Did your
maybe.
dad sing?
Kind of. I mean, he can hold a tune. He's not
Okay.
really like a singer, but he's so supportive of what I do. It's funny. My mom loves Southern gospel, and my dad loves contemporary Christian.
Okay.
He loves worship
Yeah.
music. So, every time I do something that's a little edgy, my dad loves it.
Loves
my mom
it.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And then if I do something that's kind of Southern, my mom loves it. My dad doesn't. But anyway,
God forbid we love it all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We love all Christian music.
It's just funny, man, that the influences that, because growing up I was a quartet guy, and I never dreamed that I would be a solo artist. I always thought I would join the Perrys, and then start my own quartet or trio or something one day, and it just obviously that didn't happen, and so God had a different plan. And
So when did you start singing?
I was 5. Yeah, my mom tells a funny story about. I don't know if it's true. I think it's true. I don't think she would lie, but it seems like one of those weird stories. So when I was a baby, I think I was 1. She's a piano player, and she hit a note on the piano, and I hummed it back.
Yeah.
And she thought, well, that's weird. So she hit another note, and I hummed it back. And at that point, she says, that's when I knew he was.
I bet that's pretty true. I've seen babies do that, or on the notes, and they hum.
I'm not implying that I was a prodigy or anything. I just think it was always in me. Like it's just God gave me.
Yeah.
I think God put me on this earth. I don't know if you guys feel this way about what you do, but I believe God put me on this earth to sing. Like I just do.
Well, if you're like us, there's really nothing else you can do.
Same. I really can't. I've never had a real job.
Well, he was a banker.
Well, now speak for yourself.
He was a banker. I've had other jobs.
Did you like it?
I
No.
did.
No,
I did.
but,
Well,
I mean, really, come on.
but the whole time I was there, I was wishing I was on a
Thinking
quartet
singing,
bus. Yeah.
That's
What
what
about you
It
when
was
you-
always that with me. I always worked because I've only sang. I've had 4-year stints everywhere I've been. So Mercy's Mark was a 4-year stint, and then sang regionally before that, and then so I had to have a job.
How long was
during
Legacy?
all that.
5.
4 years.
How long you been here?
2. So I got 2 years left.
2 years left. Okay. I'll start getting my audition
He's
ready.
4-year man.
Yeah. You'll need to
Get
audition.
my audition ready.
I'm not sure you're up to it, but we'll see.
Wow. Well, I am singing the. Never mind. I was about to throw you under the bus.
You're covering my. Well, no, I don't
No,
hide that
no,
stuff.
no.
You're covering me on Midnight Crow on the choruses right now.
It's
That's
fun
the
for
thing
me.
with this vocal stuff since COVID that we've talked about and people are dealing with. I just fatigue so easily now, and Joseph's been, thank God for him to give me a break. He'll sing the.
Here's what's funny, though,
Choruses.
for those of you that are listening. Josh is asking me to sing the lead on Midnight Cry in the choruses, but he's still singing it and killing it. So I'm like, I don't know why I always hear you singing it.
Well,
choruses.
it's I don't know what you're hearing, but I ain't doing a whole lot in those choruses. So just, if
He's-
you will, just keep it up.
He's
You're doing
killing
a great
it.
job.
No.
You're doing a great job. I do think you could handle this. I think you would be a great Gold City lead singer.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? Somebody asked me the other day, they said, do you miss singing with a group? And I don't. And here's why. I don't think what I do, not that I would, like, I love, if there's anybody growing up that I'd want to sing with, it'd be Gold City. I mean,
Yeah.
that was huge. But I think what I do now is so, what's the word? It's just very personal.
Yeah.
Talking about addiction in my life, and I write where I'm at in life, and for whatever reason, it served me pretty well. I don't know how I go and write a song about recovery meetings and it resonates. I don't know how I go and write a song about my church, my home church, and it resonates. But for whatever reason, it does.
That's my favorite song on that record, by the way.
The church. Yeah. I think it's gonna be the next single.
Yeah, I really like.
Here's what's cool. Is this gonna air after Quartet Convention?
Yeah. Well, no, it's gonna air during actually.
Well, I'll tell you guys on Thursday night at Quartet Convention, my pastor is gonna be there.
Oh, nice.
And I'm gonna honor him, bring him up, and talk and sing that song. So I love what I do now. So I don't really miss singing with a group, but I still love like the music. Like I still love the harmonies. It's really hard for me, like when we're on this tour and I'm sitting backstage, because I want to be in the audience. Like I want to be listening. I want to be watching. And but yeah, it's really a gift.
This thing's a neat thing for me because my favorite mixed group was always the Hoppers, and then my favorite quartet was always Gold City.
His favorite soloist was Ivan Parker, but we couldn't get him. So
but it's neat to hear these songs and then to actually be a part of them. Like with you, it's neat. Like when you did If You Knew Him the other night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an absolutely incredible song, and the people went, they lose it on it too because it's so powerful. But for us to get to do those songs that we grew up fans of, listening to, it's really a neat thing. It's been a neat thing for me and Chris and all of us because everybody on the Gold City bus was huge Gold City fans.
Oh my goodness!
I feel like we all wanted to see it get back to that, what it was, and maybe it will be at some point. But
well, once they get a lead singer, but
exactly. No, I'm in 2 years when you join up.
No, this is a good group. Great
group.
Group.
At what point how did the connection happen for you to start singing on a full-time level?
5 years old. You just kept doing little, like you would do stuff at church. You would just sing all those
churches,
years?
And then me and my mom and brothers started singing together, and we would go to camp meetings, revivals, usually in the surrounding states. I think the farthest we ever went was like New York.
You were in Ohio?
Yeah, we lived in Ohio.
What part?
So Southern Ohio. So Xenia, Xenia is known for a deadly tornado that killed a lot of people in 1974. So that's what my hometown's known for, unfortunately. But
okay.
Yeah, but that's my hometown.
And you.
And it's I don't think anybody there knows who I am, but yeah. So we started singing, and then as my brothers got in their teenage years, they lost interest. They just didn't have the passion for the music, like I did. And you get into teenage years, you want to go hang out with your friends, you want to go play basketball, and my focus was always music. So I turned 16 and got a car with my own money from singing, and I asked my mom if I could go out and do solo stuff. And she didn't think anybody's going to book a 16-year-old, but that they did.
Yeah.
And so I'd go and do love offerings and sell my product. And then I went and entered a contest, a Crab Family Talent Contest at their homecoming. And the winner was going to get an album to be recorded at Daywind Studios.
Yeah.
So.
What year?
That would have been 2001 or 2.
Okay.
So I won. And it's funny, the interesting story, Scotty Inman's wife, Casey, won second place.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we became really good friends.
Yeah.
In fact, she was one of my best friends when we were in our early 20s, before obviously we got married and that kind of stuff. But so I entered that contest. I won, made my album, and Kirk Talley had come to our church and heard me sing and said, "Hey, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I said, "Well, I want to sing." He said, "Well, I think I could help you." So he goes and tells the Perrys, "Hey, there's this kid," because Kirk Davis had just left. There's this kid. And Tracy said, "I'm not hiring a 17-year-old. I'm just not doing it." So Kirk gives him my CD, and Libby comes up and sees the CD, and it's me, spiky hair, or whatever. She says, "Who's that?" And he said, "Some kid Kirk's wanting to listen to." And she said, "Why don't you listen to it?" And he said, "Meh." He says he's 17. I'm not hiring a 17-year-old. So she said, "Well, just put it in. Let's just listen to him." So they put it in, and there's a Perry song on there called "Love Brought Me Back" that Kurt sang.
Wow.
It was one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So I recorded it. They heard it, and she talked him into calling me. And he called me. I was out in California visiting my grandparents. He called me and said, "Hey, are you going to be at the Quartet Convention?" I said, "Yeah." And this was 2003. And he said, "I want you to try out." And I said, "Okay, I'd love to." So tried out. And then I was on a Tuesday. They were on stage on Friday, and he said, "Hey, come down to Artist Circle." and just watch her set. So I did, and he calls me up to sing. Didn't tell me, just called me up.
Holy smokes!
Wow.
And I did What a Day That Will Be, just piano and me, and they hired me that night.
How
And when I
about
walked
that?
off
So you
stage,
never
she's-
actually tried out.
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
But I tried out on
I
a Tuesday.
gotcha. Okay.
And then they put me on stage on Friday just
so
to
he
see
just,
what the
he
crowd.
already, yeah.
Then they hired me, and then that was when I was 17. I turned 18 the next week, actually. And the crazy thing, and I don't tell a lot of people this because it seems so weird, but I was praying that God would give me a job by the time I was 18 years old.
Holy
and I got
smokes.
a job the week before. And here's the crazy part: my mom. I was homeschooled, and my senior year was going to be that 2003 was going to be a senior year. And I said, hey, if I can get a job at Quartet Convention, can I just take my GED? And she said, Joseph, nobody's going to hire you. You're 17 years old. I said, well, just if I can get a job, can I take my GED? And she said, yeah, because she thought nobody's hiring them. Nobody's going to hire him. They hired me.
Tracy thought that too.
Tracy thought it too. So really, I should thank Libby because she's the one that made him. And I'll be honest with you, man, it was tough. I mean, 17 years old, getting thrown into. And you got to remember, that was when the Perrys
They were hot.
right before their peak. I mean, it was right before the peak. So
Lauren was singing lead.
Lauren was killing it.
Yeah.
And they just released Change Forever, and This Is the Day.
Yeah.
Two of their biggest
I mean,
records.
it's when it really hit big for them.
And they had turnover, and I just so happened to get in at the right time. And I do think in some ways the one thing they were missing was – because back then there was a lot of young people that were singing in groups, and they didn't have a young person.
That's when the Crab Family was hitting hard, and there was a big
And
big
even a
movement.
quartet, most quartets had like a 20-something-year-old
Right.
tenor or
Yeah.
baritone, and
Yeah.
they didn't have that. So I think it was just the final piece to the puzzle, and then things kind of took off, and they started winning fan awards, and we did that Goodman's record, and it was a big record, and then I started writing, and then because Lauren left,
Right.
2 years into it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a crazy story too. I don't want to share too much because do y'all have any more questions, or because I got another good story?
But let's come back to that. I want to talk about that. So I never heard of you, obviously. Remember the Southman? Hefner used to have a Southman reunion in
Boaz,
Boaz,
Alabama. Yeah.
So Bill Lawrence, Bill sang with my mom and dad. So anyway, he was a good friend, and so he called me and said, "Hey, we're going to be up here. Run up here and say hi." So I go up there. He had started filling in for Tim.
I remember that
At that time,
Mhm.
and then Tim was transitioning out, and Bill was kind of doing all that. So anyway, I went up there, talked to Tim, and I was standing back there with Bill and Tim, and he looked over at Bill. He said, "Have you heard Tracy's new kid?" And Bill said, "No." He said, "Oh, he's so and so, so and so." He said, "He's hot as a banty rooster." So that was Tim Riley when you were 17 years old. That was 03.
He did he mean that like he's
He
good?
meant that was yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So
he never let on that was. I didn't know. You know who he? I
That's
remember
how
the
it
first
was.
time Tim Riley said, "Hey Joseph,"
Yeah.
and I thought,
Well,
he
I
knows
made
my
it.
name.
I made it.
Like the fact that he knew my name
Yeah.
was enough.
Well, that was the same time I had just taken the job with Gary, and we weren't out. And so I was telling. He said, "Yeah, you're going with Gary, right?" Because Gary had called him and told him, and I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I want you to go up there to Ohio and listen to everything Gary says, and when I need a lead singer, I'm gonna call you."
Oh my God.
Sure did. He sure did.
Wow.
So it's just funny. That was the first time, and then that later we started in 04, so that was 03, and we started in 04, and that's when I kind of met you, and you had a year in at that point. So
Yeah, and I was so like at that age, I was so insecure, and it came across. I would overcompensate with false confidence, and so it was hard because I think a lot of people thought, "Oh, this kid thinks he's the next big thing," or he thinks he's the stuff. And I was the most insecure guy in the room, but I was trying to compensate with, "I got this."
Yeah.
Even though internally I'm going, "Man, am I going to make it?" I just wanted to make. I just wanted to make it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to leave a mark, or honestly, the older I got, I wanted to leave an imprint on the music for however that looked, and I was very intentional about that even as a kid. So I start writing, and then If You Knew Him comes along, but before If You Knew Him came along, Lauren leaves 2 years into it. Right?
yeah, tell us that story.
So he leaves, and Tracy comes to me, or goes to Gerald Wolfe and says, "Hey, I got to find me a lead singer. You know anybody?" And Gerald said, "You've already got your lead singer."
Yeah.
And he said, Joseph? He said,
I think
"Yeah."
everyone kind of knew that.
So he came to me. I said, I can't do it. Vocally, I just can't do it. So then we try out a guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but we all know him, and he did fine. He did a good job. We were at Boone, North Carolina, Green's homecoming.
Mm-hmm. I was probably
We
there.
walked off stage, and I promise you, God said, you can do that. Meaning you can do that.
Yeah.
So I think, well, it's just me being, whatever. So I walk literally from the stage to the product table, and Tracy's best friend comes up to me and says, "Hey, I don't do this." He said, "But God just told me you're supposed to be the next lead singer."
Wow.
I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." So we get to the end of that weekend. We're at Biltmore Baptist Church, Asheville, North Carolina. We had a Sunday morning, and on the way home, I told Tracy, I said, "If you want me to take the job, I'll take it." And I remember the first night I ever sang lead was in Seminole, Oklahoma, out at that big outdoor.
Yeah.
And there was a lead singer at the time who came, as I'm sound checking, came to the front of the stage and said to me, "Well, looks like I'll be the only real lead singer here tonight," and walked off. That was the way I started my lead singing journey. So I'm already insecure, and then I'm like, and I, honestly, I believed him. I was like, I'm not a lead singer.
He said that jokingly.
No, if you knew the guy.
Oh, it wasn't?
No. He was just being who
well,
he is.
If I came and told you something like that, it would be a complete joke. But
Yes.
and if you did, that would. But you know what I've learned is not everybody understands that.
Well, and I think
so that's wisdom and growth as opposed to 20 or 25 years ago for me, because I would have said that, then I hurt that kid's feelings when I was just trying to love on him. And
well, it was a different day too. It was still
a
little more cutthroat, competitive.
Yeah.
And this guy, this guy now is very kind to me.
Yeah.
But you know what? That even though it could be perceived as mean, it made me want to be
buddy,
a real
It
lead
does.
singer.
Somebody
Like,
would have
okay,
said something like that to me.
watch
I said,
this.
You
know what I
watch
mean?
what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's that competitive thing that kicks in. But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's to have that fire about you. Because when you're singing lead, and I've talked about this with other lead singers, you got to lead.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do that passively. You can't be a passive personality, or you can have thoughts of, "Oh, man, I'm not sure on this," or whatever. But when you hit the stage,
You have to believe.
have to lead, and
You
it's,
have to believe in what you do, and like you said, lead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. Well, I mean, when I first started with the Kingsmen, there was a lot of people that would comment. Social media was new at that time, and so, you'll never be Ernie Phillips, you'll never be Gary Shepard, you're just this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be. Yeah. I'm trying to be me, but it's just, but it does. It makes you want to do better and strive to,
And most people,
set
when
the
they
bar.
say things, I think they're, especially singers, they're projecting their own insecurity on you.
that's probably some of it too.
And you know what? We're all insecure. I would never do anything. Now that I know what I walked through as a kid in this industry, and how many people, there were a lot of people that were good to me, but there were a lot of people that were, unkind, and that's okay. But those same people, a lot of those people that are unkind, they're not doing it anymore.
Right.
And I still am.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And it's not an arrogant or prideful thing. I'm just grateful that God said, "You know what? Let me elevate you, and let them say what they're going to say." Mark Lowry always says, "Let the children play," because they're going to play. That's what kids do.
They do. Yeah.
Let them play.
Yeah.
You stay in your own lane. Let the kids play. They're immature. They're children. So let them play, and you just do your thing. And it's So I took the job, and the lead job, and I was terrified. And
Nick, is that when they hired Nick?
Yeah, Nick came.
I always thought that was hilarious because he won Young Artist or whatever it was back then, and he got up and said he wanted to thank the Perrys for doing something even his dad wouldn't do, give him a job.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a great line. Of course, it was.
You know what's so
well-received.
funny? I'd been with it. This is a very vulnerable story, but I think it's interesting now. So Nick came, and he was instantly accepted because of who his dad was.
Mm-hmm.
I had been up for Young Artists for years and never won it. And Nick comes in his first year, he wins it. I mean, we were up against each other. And he got up and was so gracious.
Yeah.
He said what he did about his dad, and then he said, he said something kind about me, like Joseph should have won this or whatever. And it was hard for me because I didn't have Mark Trammell
Right.
as my dad. I had to do it on my own, and I I never wanted Nick to not succeed. I always wanted him. I love him to this day. He's a close friend, dear friend. Honestly, he's one of the best human beings in our industry.
Yeah, he
I mean,
really
he's just
is.
a good guy,
Incredible person.
and but that was hard because they instantly accepted Nick.
Yeah.
And I'm this kid from Ohio who's kind of, kind of an outlier at the, not really an outcast, but just kind of spiky hair and just, I was a little edgy.
Full
and
of life.
The Perrys were, and I
You were young
strutted
and
because
full
I
of
was
life,
insecure and I wanted people to think I had it going on when really internally I was just,
Yeah.
spiraling. And honestly, that's probably what led me to addiction. It was so funny because If You Knew Him was written right before I got addicted to drugs, right
Really?
before everything took off for me. Like the Fan Awards had always been like a really big, encouraging thing to me, but I'd never really gotten up for any big like male vocalist or songwriter or lead singer.
Well, it
was
takes
always,
forever and a day.
It does.
I mean, it literally does. I remember when I went with Legacy 5 because I wasn't – that was a God thing with me going with Legacy 5. Number one, singing tenor. I told them, I said, I spent my whole life making fun of tenors. How am I going to sing tenor? But it was a situation where that was what God had in store for us at that time. And I'm very grateful because it brought a lot of connections back and people I hadn't seen in years and a lot of new connections I never had and things that Legacy 5 was doing that I never got to do.
Yeah.
So that was a dream come true. But at the same time, it's a very humbling experience when you go out and do something even as a singer that I've studied all this voice and all the things that I do and singing the notes and all that, when you start in that position, it's literally like that kid again starting over.
Yeah.
And we were I remember talking to my thought was, because before that all happened, the way that happened with me, I called actually Scott Smith called Gerald for me. I was going to do a solo album.
Who's Scott? Do I know Scott?
Scott Bailey. You remember Bailey Smith, Evangelist Bailey
his
Smith?
son.
Scott. Yeah.
Okay,
He's one of my
gotcha.
best friends. So I wanted Stan to play on an album with me, just piano and Stan Whitmire, piano and vocals. All I wanted to do, and just do some dates here and there. And so he couldn't get a hold of Stan. So he asked Gerald, "What's going on with Stan?" I've been trying to call him, and he said, "I don't know." So he told him. He said, "Well, you know Josh?" He said, "Yeah." He said he's going to do a solo album, just piano and vocal. And Gerald said, "Well, I'll do it." So, yeah, of course, let's do it with Gerald. So anyway, when I went and did it, everything was keyed and high lead tenor stuff because that's what I was
Your
singing.
sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and he called Fowler, and Fowler came in, and then it was on at that point.
Is this when Gus left?
Yeah, Gus was having
yeah.
vocal problems at that time, and they were going to have to do something. Gus had to get off the road, and when he got off the road, his voice healed up, and he's doing great. But I remember asking Michael Booth, because my mind was still, I'm gonna do some solo stuff. I asked Michael, I said, "How long do you think it takes to be out here doing this, to be established enough to
It's a great question.
do a solo thing?" And he said, "I don't think I can answer that." And I said, "Well, think about it and get back to me." So it was like 3 or 4 months later, he said, I got the answer. I said, "What is it?" He said, "I think it's 8 years." I said, "Well, you've lost your ever-loving mind. I ain't singing tenor for 8 years." So, but I think he's right, because he laid out all that
Mine
has
was
to
10.
happen. You're only
Yeah.
going to the West Coast once a year, typically, maybe twice, but once a year. So they're only seeing you one time. All the other people seeing you maybe 2 times, but you're only seeing this audience at certain times, and it takes that much time to be accepted. Number one, that's the main thing, because what was happening with you was they didn't know you. There was no name credibility at that time with you.
They just knew that he was the kid with the Perrys.
Yep. And then when the other kid with the Perrys come along, that's where the attention goes, because it's Mark's son.
Exactly. 'Cause
And I
they know,
think
his,
and
they
you
know
know
his name.
And you know what else? That's unfair to Nick.
It is very unfair.
Very
to Nick.
much unfair to Nick,
Very.
because they're comparing him to his dad. He's not his dad. He's a different singer.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's just
Well,
really interesting.
and I think the crazy thing is, it's the power of a song. Because I wrote "If You Knew Him," and it was instantly top 5 male vocalist, top 5 lead singer,
Yeah.
top 5 songwriter. The first year.
How many
the
years
first
had
year.
you been with them when that came out?
5.
There you go.
5 years.
So
it took him that long to go, "Oh, he's for real."
yeah.
Like okay, he's going to hang around. Okay, well, he's writing, But the power of a song, it took one song and it changed the trajectory of my career. And ironically enough, it was about the time I got hooked on drugs.
Yeah.
Which is the devil, right? You know, he sees
It
all
is.
this stuff's about to happen for this kid, and he's like, let's just derail this whole thing and get him
Well, there
hooked
was
on
never
pills.
an intent. You never had an intention to get hooked on drugs.
Oh no, I don't think
No.
anybody does.
No, I don't either.
But especially not when it's prescription drugs, because
Well-
you start taking them for legitimate reasons,
Yeah, it's a
and then your brain goes, "Ooh, I like that.
That's why they should be
Ooh, I like that."
banned.
They really should.
It's
They
a,
really
it's a
should.
terrible. And we'll get into that. I want us to get. We're going to do this in a 2-part thing because I want to.
Are we done?
Well, we will be here in a few minutes.
Okay.
But I want to get into
Don't
what we're
rush
doing.
y'all.
I'm just teasing.
I want to come back to that in the next. We'll kind of
You
talk
wanna
about all that.
drugs in the next.
Yeah, about you being a drug addict. And
Got it.
A very
Okay.
bad person.
Y'all stay tuned. Cliffhanger.
The Hits and Heritage Fall Tour is now underway with Gold City, the Hoppers, and Joseph Habedank. We're coming to 8 states and 9 cities, including Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Indiana, Illinois, South Carolina, Ohio, and North Carolina. We're so excited. This tour is presented by Destiny Rescues. You are going to want to be there. Do not miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is the only time that we'll do this in 2025 is this fall tour. Go ahead and join us for the Hits and Heritage Fall Tour. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you there.
No, I want to talk. We want to talk about this Hits and Heritage tour a little bit.
Yeah, we do. But before we do that, tell me your favorite Perry's album that you were a part of. Songwriting aside, singer aside, what's your favorite?
Almost Morning, and
It's a good one.
Yeah, because it had If You Knew Him, but it also had Did I Mention? It
wow.
had
I didn't
Almost
realize-
Morning, which
I didn't
was
realize they were on the same record.
yeah. So If You Knew Him's track 2 or 4. Did I Mention is the last track on the record. Then it had This Old Sinner Testifies, which is an old Gold City
yeah.
song. And Tracy didn't want to cut it because Gold City had cut it in the 90s. I'm like, dude, that song
Killer song.
is a great song.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Gold City wasn't staging it.
No.
And so that's how it kicks
But it
off.
kind of became
on
a,
What a Great
a
Lifestyle?
a big song for y'all, like live.
did.
You know,
Was
live.
that What a Great Lifestyle
Yeah.
song?
Yeah,
I think so.
Had God's Building a Church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Almost Morning is a great song too.
Well, I was going to say that's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, and I wrote it with Matthew Holt, and so that's also special to me.
Matthew was there at that time too.
He had just left,
Okay.
but we had written it before he had left.
What did he do after he left the Perrys? Did he teach or?
So he went to Bethel University in McKenzie, Tennessee, and he runs their music program. He still does. He does
did that.
both.
He went there to do that at that
Mhm.
time. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. And then
He took
did
a pay
good
cut.
Gaither Thing.
He just didn't. He just got married. He was getting ready to have a kid.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of I don't want to miss my kid's childhood.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I respect it. I
Yeah.
missed him. I still miss him. I wish it's good now, to be able to get to do the Gaither stuff when I get to, because he's there. And it's just not something we would have ever envisioned. Like
No, right.
that was not on our radar. It was like a totally different thing. And God has really given us obviously him longer than me, but it's a gift. It really is.
Speaking of that, and I'm promised we'll get to the Hits and Heritage, but that world is totally different.
Oh my goodness.
Trevor, we were talking about that the other day at catering because we just got through filming a new Gaither homecoming taping, and that being in that room with all those people, out here in our circle that we tour in on the road, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows who we are. But when you're in that room, it's a totally different perspective.
Well, there's a lot of other singers that are not really in this world.
Right, that's
this
what I'm
gospel
saying.
Music world. It's,
Yeah.
it's different.
Because people always think Bill's Southern.
He wasn't Southern.
He's not really Southern.
They
He's kind
weren't
of his
Southern.
own thing.
They were inspo back in the day.
It's like somewhere between. I mean, granted, he's got a quartet,
Yeah.
so they do quartet
but
stuff.
they don't even call it a quartet.
He's almost
they
his
don't.
own genre.
And it's not a quartet now. It's
It's a
always been the
five,
vocal
yeah.
band. It's always been its own thing.
Yeah.
They just did quartet songs.
And he doesn't like it when people call him Southern, and I understand that. There's a negative, and I'd love to change that.
I
There's
would
a
too.
negative
It's a-
connotation.
You
in
know
it.
that was it. You should just be gospel music.
Yeah.
You knew that, right?
Before the
and the GMA
doves,
talked.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that what was crazy to me about that was Southern gospel music was the music at the time that they talked them into changing it to Southern gospel.
Mhm.
To
And
because
it's got,
it was black gospel. So they had
Yeah.
the black gospel, and they wanted to get away from the black and just make it gospel. So they threw the Southern label on our music.
I still call it
Bad
gospel
move.
sometimes.
I do
but
too. That's all I
what
ever
I try to
say.
tell people is I'm a Christian music
Christian,
artist.
yeah.
And
That's what I
that's
say.
what we do. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with Southern gospel. The problem is it's got a bad reputation for being hokey or only quartets, and really it was built on quartets. Don't get me wrong,
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
Southern gospel wasn't built on quartets because Southern gospel came after.
Yeah.
Gospel music was built on quartets.
Yeah.
Statesman.
Yeah,
Blackwood
Blackwood
Brothers,
all
yeah.
that stuff, yeah.
And then Southern gospel at that point it was a grab bag because you had the Rambos and you had the Goodmans and you had obviously the cathedrals, Gold City, all
It's
that
still
stuff.
all over the place. Even
Oh,
if you
yeah.
get in, because if you really get to think, you got the mountain gospel side of things with like the inspirations, the
McCamey's.
primitive McCamey's, that world. You've got the quartet thing, like with, I don't know, Gold City's kind of always been its thing, but you've got
Even the quartets are because you look
very
at
much
Triumphant,
varied.
they're a worship.
Yeah,
Really, they
they've
do a lot of
really went
worship
that
music.
direction with everything
Gold
now.
City's kind of a nostalgic, but not old. It doesn't feel
No,
dated.
none of it
it's
feels
nostalgic.
old. Even the old songs don't feel old.
And
That's
then
what's
Ernie's
crazy.
got his almost it's almost Broadway
Yeah.
quartet. So
Yeah.
even the quartets are
It's
they're all different.
extremely varied.
Yeah. And the soloists are that way. I love, like Scotty Inman, he's doing this
Oh, yeah.
country,
Yeah.
hard country thing. And I told him, I was like, dude, I respect the fact
I love it.
you
Yeah.
found your lane.
Yeah.
My lane is I'm a singer-songwriter and I talk about hard things on stage.
Yeah.
That's what I do. His lane is country music. And he found it. And
Yeah.
the fact that he found it so early is going to help him tremendously down the road. Because there's so many soloists, they just don't know.
Well, you say early, but he spent 20 years at Triumph.
That's true. And what's crazy, though, is they weren't super country.
No, not really.
So I think it's cool that he went, okay, this is who I am. I live in
Yeah.
Kentucky. I drive a pickup truck.
yeah,
I'm kind of a redneck. So let's lean into that. You know what I mean?
And I think that's what a lot of artists struggle with is identity.
Oh,
There's a lot of
absolutely.
artists in our genre, in the Southern genre, that don't have an identity. They try this and they try that and this, but there's very few artists that actually have their identity.
I totally, and I think
down.
I think it's people in general have trouble finding their identity in life,
It
and
is.
it bleeds over into their careers and obviously the music.
Yeah.
But you're right. If an artist doesn't know who they are, they will get chewed up and spit out. And it took me a while. At first, I thought I was this. I used to sing like, that's how I sang. I was like, that's not who I am. I was trying to blend with Lauren. That's not how I sing.
Right.
I never sang that way. And then honestly, when I recorded If You Knew Him, I found, okay, this is my voice. And then just kind of following as we evolve as people, we go through different seasons of life and you find out who you are. And I'm 40 years old now and I'm going, okay, I know who I am. I don't always like who I am, but I know who I am. You know what I mean? At least
Yeah.
I know.
yeah,
I know what my good things are and the bad things, and I know what I want to do with my career. I want to push the boundaries and try to change it and make it better, and let people know that it doesn't have to be one thing. It can be all
well,
these
it's
things.
obvious. Obviously, it's a lot of things. We just covered that.
Exactly.
Our genre is a lot of different sounds, which is very neat. It's very neat because
I
on an
love it.
album, you could have just a standalone album from Gold City. You could have a certain sound and then a totally different sound, and that's neat to do. That's variety.
Well, and I think too, I would challenge anybody to go listen to any Gold City record and go, that record sounds a lot like that record. They really are their own thing.
Yeah,
And I'm sure there's one or two that are similar, but for the most part, like Signed, Sealed, Delivered was totally different than Pillars of Faith.
Yeah.
And probably totally different than Preparing the Way, or Standing in the Gap. I mean, every album's got their own. It's got its own DNA.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love variety. I think people love variety.
I do too. Speaking of variety, we got a lot of it on this Hits and Heritage
We
tour.
do. It's a lot of fun.
I am having a ball, and when I called you, you'll remember this. I called you. You were in the gym that day, and I
You
called
go to
you.
the gym? Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going till it shows. Thanks,
Well,
Dave.
we were there today, and I didn't see you.
I only go when I'm home. You know why? Let me get back to this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I sleep so late on the road. I only have time to sleep, wake up, sound check.
Well, you
sing.
can't. You said you can't sleep going down the road.
Yeah, I can't sleep till we're parked.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah. All right, go
Anyway,
back.
sorry.
Sorry, we interrupted.
That is a problem. But when I called you that day, you were in the gym, and I said, man, I hate to bother you. I said, I just got to ask you a question. I said, hey, we're thinking about putting together a tour. It was at the beginning of the year. I said later this fall, and with Gold City, the Hoppers, and I said, and we'd love to have you with us on that tour. And you said, man, I'd love to do that. And you even went into the fact that you wish more artists toured in packages
Together.
like
Yeah.
that, because you see that in different genres. Like right now, Mercy Me, Toby Mac, and who is it?
Zach Williams.
Zach
or
Williams,
yeah.
or somebody's
Oh, wow.
doing a
That
tour.
hits deep tour or something.
Hits Deep. Yeah, that's a great ticket right
Mhm.
there. And so I just think Hoppers and Gold. You got the quartet, you got the family group, and then you got the
soloist. Yeah.
the soloist artists that are and everybody's got their own hits. You've got a history of each artist, and it's just working out great. I hope you're having a good time.
I am, and it's funny, and I probably should ask you guys this off the air. My only concern going into it was, okay, how am I going to fit into this? Because both of these groups are legendary, and it's not that you all are traditional per se, but you're probably more traditional than what I do. So my biggest concern going into it was like, okay, how is this going to work? How am I going to fit? So how do you all feel like? Do you feel like it's whiplash for them?
I don't know, man. I never stand there and listen to you.
Well, I know that, but
I don't.
are you hearing anything?
Well, I don't think so,
No.
because I have stood in the back of the room and I've watched
I have
people
too. I was
worship
joking.
with you. I mean, not just on the hit that they know, like "Here He Comes,"
Yeah.
but on, the basement, and some of your, worthy, and some of your more worshipful songs that they may not be familiar with, but they're still with you. They're worshiping.
I think it's a great
and-
break from a little bit of the traditional
nostalgic. Yeah.
thing when you come out there and do what you do, because you've got plenty of hits too of your own. They're newer.
Well, it goes back to the variety thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. That was my only concern, though.
We've seen a lot of young people at these tours too, or I've noticed a lot of young people that are there, and I assume they're there, but they don't get up and leave when
No.
you walk off the stage.
No,
or when somebody
honestly,
else
I think
takes the
there's
stage.
some young people coming for Gold City and the Hoppers. I
There
really
are,
believe that.
yeah.
I don't
that's-
think it's just
that's,
me.
that seems to be a thing. I've noticed a lot lately too at our concerts, is the younger people, and some of them that have never experienced it before absolutely love it. So I go back to when we were young, and we saw those groups,
Yeah,
and it was
life changing.
Yeah, I mean, it really, 15 years old, Gold City with Steve, when Steve went with them and they did Pillars of Faith at Bevel Center Boaz, I sat down there, and that's when I said, this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
And at that point, I stopped focusing on basketball, started focusing on singing, and
That's what I
Here I
love
am.
about Gold City. I think they have impacted so many young singers. I know the first concert I ever went to, and I tell this from stage when I introduce you guys, or I have. My first concert was Dayton Memorial Hall. Brian, Ivan, Tim, Mike, and
the band, was it the
The
full band?
Band
Was
of
Doug
Gold,
playing,
yeah.
Gary and Mark?
and I left as I'm probably 5 or 6 years old, and I leave there going, oh, this is special. Like, this is
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the impact that you all have had on, man, when I was a teenager going to NQC, Gold City would typically be on last,
Yeah.
and and back then it was like midnight,
Right.
and I'd go in, and Jay Perrick would hit that, and you do it now, Chris, so well, that high, the super crazy, and he's turning beat red, and he's getting like this head rush, and I'm just like, what is happening? And it was just the first time I ever heard it, I was like, this is so weird and so amazing. Like, it was just,
Tim sliding down to the low
Oh,
note at the
it's
same
crazy.
time. It's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah.
and that was like, man, if I could sing with Gold City. I mean, if I could just give me that baritone.
Hey,
fire
you
Mark.
got your chance now, man. Danny's out because he's
Yeah, that's
hurt
true.
again.
Need out on knee scope. Danny,
Yep.
we'll see you in the afterlife, buddy. I'm taking over.
There it is, folks. You heard it first here on Double Take. The new baritone for Gold City.
I'm just
goes with
kidding.
Habedank.
Kidding.
But it's hard for a soloist to hold an audience's attention.
Yeah, it is.
And I'll say this: there's only been very few soloists that I believe have done that. Kirk Talley's one of them.
Mhm.
He's the master
He's a great
of it.
communicator. And you are another one. I mean, I've never seen. I sat in your set. I think it was 2 years ago at convention. I think it was right after Josh came with us, and I sat in your set at convention, and I thought, this man is holding the attention of nearly 12,000 people just by himself. There's not many people that can do that, but you do that because, number one, of your story.
Yes.
And your but just your charisma and your mannerisms. I mean, it's just there's not many soloists that can hold a full set, much less a common. When you do your own concerts, people are sitting with you for an hour and a half to 2 hours, of just you.
And I'm not going to say, thank you, by the way. I'm not going to say there hasn't been nights when I thought, okay, they're not, I don't have them. Like they're not with me. But as soon as I say, 10 years ago I was a drug addict.
Got their attention.
Do what now?
Yeah.
They're up and they're in, because at that point they can relate. They can't relate with some guy who's tan and and his hair's trying to be in place and his outfit. They can't relate with that. But the moment that I say I'm broken, this is who I was. I'm broken just like you. It's a powerful, and somebody, I know I was so worried back in the day that people would say he's using that story, and you know what? I am using it.
You better.
And the
use
reason
it,
I'm using it is because I think God's using it.
Absolutely.
And if He can use it, why can't I use it?
God has always shown that He takes what we go through. We go through because at some point it's going to help someone else.
Yeah, there's
And
a Bible verse.
Yeah,
about
our
that.
reaction to what we're going through and how we are is going to shine in what that next person that will deal with the same thing, because we're all lowly sinners living on this planet, and it's going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
I remember reading that verse in Corinthians when I got out of rehab about He comforts. This is paraphrasing, but He comforts us so that we can comfort others.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so true, and that was powerful to me getting out of treatment, because I knew I didn't want to tell my story. I didn't want to admit to people I was a drug addict. I didn't want to get up and talk about that every night. But the first time I did it was at Higher Ground Baptist Church in Kingsport, Tennessee. They had an altar call, and people, this 3,000 seat church, and people would just start coming and just weeping for their kids and their grandkids, and it was like God was like, "That's what I want you to do," because anybody can sing. Anybody can write a song. Well, not anybody, but a lot of people can sing. A lot of people can write a song. But I've given you this story, so use it, so that I can use it. Right. Then that's why I do it, and I do it every night. And I don't. I used to second guess it. Now I don't. Just because I think it is who I am, and I'm not a poster child for addiction, but I do think and hope that I'm a poster child for recovery. You know what I mean? That's what I want.
Sure.
Well, we'll get into that in the next.
Yeah, sorry, I keep getting to drugs because that's my go-to. Yeah.
In the next one, we'll talk about how your time ended with the Perrys and how you
how I got fired.
How you went into your struggles with addiction, and then how God restored you and what you're doing now in your solo. We'll get into all that on the next podcast.
Come see. We got
2 more dates left as of this podcast. Massillon, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you pronounce it? Massillon, Ohio.
Yep.
And
is that in your area?
It's probably 3 hours from where I grew up.
Oh, you'll have a lot of home folk there.
Yeah.
And then Mount Airy, North Carolina, which is
that's getting over around your way.
That's close to me.
You think Andy Griffith will show? I was going to say, you think Andy will be there? He's in heaven.
He's still living, but
yeah, that's what I thought.
Might get some of Jeff Easter's folks.
Y'all
to show
think he
up.
made it?
I don't know.
I hope he did. I'll tell you, if Andy didn't make it, I don't know if we're going to make it. You know it.
That was a good man.
Yeah, he was a good man.
But
now, Opie, I don't know. I don't think Opie's making it. But sorry, y'all can cut this out.
No, we can leave it in. This is just the way it is.
For tickets on the next Hits and Heritage dates, go to goldcityministries.com or josephhabedank.com and get your tickets for those.
I think we're going to do a lot more of these Hits and Heritage throughout the years. This has been a very fun thing to do for me and for all of us, I think.
The reviews have been, people are just loving it. Yeah.
I think we're talking about, too, for those of you that are listening, I don't want to give away too much, but we're talking about possibly doing a West Coast tour and also bringing in a full band for the next leg. So I think it's going to grow from here, and hopefully, I don't want to give away too much, but I think it's going to be special.
And if what comes about, we'll blame you.
I didn't say I was going to be there. I just said I was going to.
You know what I think would be fun if we got to sing each other's songs. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be amazing.
Maybe Gold City doing, I don't know, Jericho or something like that.
Y'all could do If You Knew Him.
Yeah, we could.
Because I told Lindsay doesn't like that I do it, not because she doesn't like the song,
Well,
because
she's
like
like,
it's a
yeah.
Perry song,
It's
so let
Perry's
them do
thing.
it. You
Yeah.
do your stuff. So I think it's a great idea. I'm just trying to figure out which Gold City song I would pick.
There's a lot.
Stay
but-
tuned. There's
Yeah.
too many to
He's-
choose from.
Well, you said your favorite was He Said.
Once there wasn't no. But you know what? Josh just cut that. I don't want to
Yeah,
steal
but
that.
we can pitch that back and forth. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, I don't really
Yeah,
want to pitch it
there's
back
two
and forth,
verses.
though. I'd like to just do the whole thing.
Nobody'd like it.
But the people.
Exactly.
I'll have to find one of Kim Hopper's lower keyed songs for me to
We'll
do.
find a
Oh,
good
whatever.
Connie
You
song.
can
Good Connie
you sing
song
in
for
the
you.
sky,
I can do a
man.
Connie
Yeah.
song. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I've come too far.
Oh,
There we
that's a
go.
good one.
Back
That would be
again.
good. Yeah.
I don't know. That's almost iconic to her. I wouldn't want to touch that.
She probably wouldn't want you touching it either.
Yeah, I think you could do it. I think you could do it.
I don't know. That would be fun though. We
All
might
right. Next time, stay tuned.
next time.
Love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
That's the best one you ever did, wasn't it?